Cool beans. All right, David. No more of your stalling for time. My name is Ethan.
And I'm David.
And we are those nerds you know.
Yeah.
Welcome down. We're going to talk to you today about Yugi Man's Card Fight the Gathering.
Buddy fight future card Yugioh.
we're specifically going to talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side of Dimensions movie.
Yeah.
And
which is the newest movie that came out just last year in Japan, or maybe the year before. I don't remember. It's a pretty recent movie, but they brought back the original cast, and it's the focus of the movie is on Yuki and Kaiba. Although honestly, if you look at it, the focus is really more on Kaiba than anything. I think it's kind of more of a Kaiba movie.
Copyright 2017.
Okay, maybe that's just, I don't know. It's a pretty new movie. Maybe it came out this year and it just came to America this later on. But yeah,
oh, man. But it's cool. This one's great because now that we are 6 series into Yu-Gi-Oh? There's 6 now, right?
Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, 5D, Zexal, Arc V, Frains, yeah, 6. Mm-hmm. Goodness gracious.
We have 6 different series of
Yu-Gi-Oh shows. Yeah.
Ridiculous. And the fact that they went back and made a movie with the original cast and got, at least for the dub, got a lot of...
They got a lot of the voice actors back. They got
actors, yeah.
Kaiba, Yugi, Bakura, Joey, and Mokuba back. And that was about it, I think. Oh, Tristan, too. How could I forget Tristan?
Yeah, got 1/3 of Tristan back.
Well, yeah, one of the originals.
I was really pumped about this movie when I first heard about it.
Yeah,
just because it would go back to the originals, the roots.
Yeah, which is it's only the only one of the 6 that I've actually seen all the way through. Like, I've seen a pretty good portion of a bunch of the other shows, but the original Yu-Gi-Oh is one that I actually really thoroughly enjoy. It doesn't have all the goofiness, and it is, I will say, it's a lot for the nostalgia factor, because a lot of people are like, oh man, the original Yu-Gi-Oh is the only good one because, you know, that was the original. But I don't believe that's true. I do believe that, I think the reason I stuck with it is because of my original attachment to it, even though that a lot of people say that the original Yu-Gi-Oh is awful because it is because of the breaking of the rules and things like that. But honestly, to me, it's just a good translation of the manga, in the sense that the manga wasn't originally made to be about a card game. It was meant to be about a guy who was the king of games and doing a bunch of different games and stuff. So yeah, we can talk about that probably at some point. Mm-hmm. I just want to talk about the movie right now. Yeah,
the movie was
full spoilers.
Meh. Yeah, we're gonna do full spoilers. I was super excited about this because I was excited to see Yugi. I was excited to see Kaiba. Mm-hmm. I was excited to see Yugi not as Yami.
Yeah. Yeah, because at the end of the show, they had the final duel where he and the Pharaoh dueled to seal up the Millennium Items again, and when he did that, he lost the Pharaoh.
Yep. So yeah, that's the end of the Yu-Gi-Oh series. Is the Pharaoh leaves and Yugi is just by himself, just Yugi. Mm-hmm. So he no longer has the lightning bolts. He just has his regular yellow bangs. And then, so I was just excited in general to see these characters that I really love come back and have some better animation maybe, and just another time for them to get together and have a good time. It wasn't everything I wanted.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I wish it had been a little bit better, because I don't know how well it was received. I can't imagine it was received super duper well. I can't imagine it was as well received as the recent DBZ reboots.
No, I don't think it was.
Which I wish it would have been, because I mean, if the first one had done well, then the new DBZ.
I remember seeing the new DBZ movies in theaters down here, and there being a huge crowd and people loving it, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how well this did. Like, this one's, I think, is a little more niche, only because Yu-Gi-Oh, I think, especially with the way that 4Kids had presented it, it was more of it was seen. I think it was one of those anime that was still put in the perception that anime is for children.
Yes.
And Dragon Ball Z was kind of more of an all ages type thing, because it's a little more violent, a little more fun.
That was definitely more marketed to teenagers, I think, more than Yu-Gi-Oh, more so than Yu-Gi-Oh was.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Speaking of the 4 kids, the original Yu-Gi-Oh being heavily censored, and this movie was almost not at all. As far as like not just like for what people said and things like that, but like to the point where in the original show they edited out guns and they edited out like crosses, they edited out anything violent, like they edited out all kinds of stuff. Like
they edited out a lot of the sexual material.
Yep.
Yeah, but then there wasn't really any sexual material.
No, there wasn't too much.
But they didn't edit out any of the guns. If people had guns, people had onks and crosses, religious symbols.
Yeah.
That were edited out in the original one. But yeah, the movie was lackluster. I think it didn't have enough dueling, in my opinion, and on top of that, it didn't have enough good dueling. We didn't get to see everybody duel like I would have wanted. Like in DBZ, especially, we're probably just going to end up comparing this to the Dragon Ball Z, the whatever of the gods, I guess.
Yeah, Battle of the Gods and Resurrection F both like kind of knocked it out of the park with people's nostalgia factor.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I feel like
one of the things I really love about Resurrection F is that it gives there's plenty of time for you to watch every single one of the characters fight.
Yeah.
Everyone fights.
Yes.
Everyone fights hordes of Frieza people.
Frieza guys. Yeah. You can see them all like strut their stuff. You get to see them
just never happens
just
here.
walk train on people. Yeah.
Like you see Joey with his dual disc like 8 times.
Yeah.
And
there's
never
a lot of
duels.
There's a lot of focus on his dual disc. And I kept talking about how I thought it was going to be like one of those gun on the wall type things in movies that they do where it's like when you see a gun on the wall in Act 1 and Act 3 they have to use that gun basically. But it's like the only real story element the dual disc was used is that fun point Joey's missing and his dual disc is left behind and everybody's like, well, Joey wouldn't just leave his dual disc. He loves his dual disc. Yeah. And I'm just like, come on, let's see him use it. Let's see him why is this the plot point?
No, definitely not. But yeah, no. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish duels in this show.
Yeah.
In this movie. Only 2 of them are all right.
Yes.
Because they're between...
Which 2?
One of them, the first one we see is a hologram duel.
Oh, the Yugi and Kaiba duels.
Between Yami and Kaiba.
Yeah, Yami and Kaiba.
And then the other one is when the regular Yugi duels Kaiba later on in the tournament thing that they have.
The tournament, quote unquote.
Quote unquote. Let's see who gets to duel Kaiba today event.
I loved how...
stupid.
It's so rushed. That's so...
I wonder if they use the word tournament in the Japanese one. I don't even know.
They can't have, right?
They must have just been like, oh, that's a buzzword for all these people that like.
Why would they call it like an exhibition match or something? Like, why? It was really just one duel. Like,
yeah, I was expecting them to pull out some random 4th duelist.
Yeah. So
we could have an actual tournament.
Yeah, or have Joey put his hat in the ring. Like, come on.
Yeah, but I mean, just pull out the current.
Have him get
current
beat by
Duel
the
Monsters champion or whatever.
Yeah,
whoever
or somebody.
It might be.
Yeah.
Pegasus.
Where
was Pegasus in this movie?
He didn't show. He showed up in the other Yu-Gi-Oh movie, but he didn't show up in this one. He showed up in both of them. He showed up. He's in Bonds Beyond Time briefly. He gets killed off, and then they go back in time and save him. But like he shows up in that. No Pegasus in this though.
No.
If you're expecting Pegasus, if he's your favorite character, I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Freaking. Battle of the Gods and Resurrection F, or more specifically Resurrection F, brings back Frieza, which was a big villain and stuff like that. And I figured, like, if we were to get nostalgia, I guess they could have totally brought back Pegasus. Like bringing back Kaiba was
but
cool
again
too.
Resurrection F was the second movie after they made a first movie with a new villain that worked.
Yeah,
this should have been a movie with a new villain that worked, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. No.
The reason I didn't like the dueling outside of Yugi and Kaiba is when Yugi and Kaiba were dueling, they used the regular rules that we are aware of, at least in terms of the show's universe.
Yeah.
But when Homeboy comes up, the bad guy,
Daisuke.
Aigami. That's
Aigami / Diva. One of those names he uses.
Yes, Aizami or Diva.
Aigami
or Diva. Aizawa. I'm thinking Aizawa. Aigami or Diva. he uses these cubic monsters, which we're not like we are no strangers to ridiculous things in duels in Yu-Gi-Oh, especially not in the first
there's
one.
some serious shenanigans.
And there's always weird things going on. The Seal of Orichalcos, Shadow Realm,
things
that Pegasus brought
things
on.
that just don't make things that don't have a real life equivalent in the game. Basically, don't have any way representing that or doing that.
Just things that are just strictly based off of magic, essentially. Which is what these cubic things were.
Yeah,
and we're no stranger to that, but this just wasn't explained well. And so even when they did crazy shenanigans in the show, they usually explained it. Or you had Yami sitting there.
For me, it was like there was at least some sort of logic behind it.
Right.
Like when I was talking about, if you compare this to Bonds Beyond Time, which is what I was going to compare it to, in the Bonds Beyond Time movie, they use a lot of really specific cards that didn't exist in the card game. Like, well, if you would attack my Dark Magician, I get to do this really specific thing when I activate this spell. And that was that. That was what the thing was. But here, it's like, my cubic monsters, I'm going to combine them together to make this giant monster, and when he comes out, he gets to kill your monster, and then you take damage, and then he gets to attack, and then your other monster gets to die, and then you take more damage. Yeah. And I'm like, why? What is this? Like, what is happening? And then they turn back to cubic monsters, and I'm like, what? This is so weird.
Yep. Yeah, it was real strange.
It just didn't make any sense to me.
Yami wasn't there explaining everything that was going on,
right?
So I was totally lost.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
There was a lack of Yami in this movie.
There was a super lack of mansplaining from Yami.
Wow, yeah. That's very true. I didn't even realize how little Yami there is in this movie.
The only speaking lines he has is when he's a hologram fighting Kaiba. That's it. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert, he shows up at the end for a second.
And he
does nothing. He smiles, he summons a monster that solves everyone's problems, and he leaves.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Then,
which, by the way, I did find that card in real life, and that one actually has a pretty decent and specific effect, which they could have. How hard is it to get
on the field?
It's not. I don't think it does something like, I think you can get it out if like a spellcaster you own died or something like that in battle. You can pop him out.
Swag.
And what he does is like he has 2,500 attack, but then if he attacks a creature and the attacking creature is a dark monster, his attack doubles for the battle calculations, and then that's it. That's his only effect. And so he would have definitely killed the creature he was fighting and definitely have won the duel with that card. Yeah. So I mean, like it was a pretty neat card, and it's very simple. It was like on the text, it's written very simply in real life, and I loved it in the show. They just didn't even explain it. They just summoned it. He attacks because he wins.
I like the thought that Yami would have shown up, known exactly what to do at the moment, and would have just had it on hand. Yeah. Like he could have pulled any number of things that probably could have won, but he was just like, "This guy will do it."
Guy will do it.
There you go.
Right.
Solved the problem. GG. I'm gonna take my puzzle back now. Okay, bye.
Yep.
Gosh. Another thing that we didn't get that I so wanted was growed up Yami Bakura.
Oh yeah.
That never happened. We saw a little demon Bakura, which was freaking sweet. That was really cool to see.
Demon Bakura. Oh, when he was when Diva was possessed by Bakura, Yami Bakura.
No. We saw in the flashback, in Diva's flashback, when Bakura first got the ring.
Oh, yeah.
He talked to him as, he was little Demi Bakura, but he was still possessed, and he had his fun little accents and his change.
Oh, yeah. When he was a kid, when he first got possessed of the Millennium Ring.
We never got growed up Yami Bakura like we had in the show in this.
No,
movie.
He was a beast in the show.
The ring just possessed Diva for a bit.
Yeah. So
Yami Bakura's spirit.
Which was very unclear. So a lot of this, do we want to go into the plot a little bit in the movie?
Absolutely not. Yes.
Okay.
So how long is it after the...
Oh, also, by the way, we were under the impression it was like an hour and 29 minutes or something like that. When you go on IMDb and when I looked at some other things, they were saying the movie is actually 2 hours and 11 minutes.
That makes so much more sense.
Feels more right. Yeah.
Holy crap.
That movie was
we were sitting
much
to this
longer.
And we're like, man, this is long. Holy crap, why are we still here? Yeah. What's going on? And people were talking for so long.
There's a lot of exposition in this movie.
Dueling, please.
There's a lot of talking
and on the back, look at on the back of this box. I will find it. Yeah, it says 80 feature run time, approximately 89 minutes.
Yep.
BS.
No, it's like 131 minutes. There's like a whole extra hour.
They probably just like copied the text from the back of Bonds Beyond Time and just pace it.
Right.
Look at this.
Because Bonds Beyond Time is a short movie.
Yeah,
it's
it's
short
not long
and
at all.
It's very.
It's one duel.
It's just the one duel, and it's very to the point. And it's also like it's neat if you look at it. The duel takes place in one turn. Like
it really does.
Each character
everybody
gets
one turn, and then Yami gets another turn. I think, and that's it.
That's it.
Yami's
That's the
all
whole
right,
duel.
done. GG.
Yeah.
Anyway, the plot of this movie.
Yeah, the plot of this movie.
How far after the original series are we?
It doesn't seem like that long. Maybe a few months. Okay, real quick. Something that was a confusion for us and a confusion for, I think, some people is that this movie is supposed to be a sequel to the manga. It's the ending to the manga of Yugioh, the original Yugioh manga.
Which again is probably the Japanese anime is probably closer to that than our anime.
But it's
definitely closer than our anime. Easily. I don't know.
But it is. So when they brought it here to America, they had to like kind of tinker with it a little bit to make it actually make sense, sort of, that it also wrapped up the show.
Yeah, well, like, for everyone who doesn't know, we got, 5 seasons? 5 seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5 seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh! Here in the Americas, in America.
In the Americas.
5 seasons of it. When in reality, there were, if we're counting them the way they should be counted, there was 6.
Yeah.
There's a missing season that we did not get
in America,
because it wouldn't have sold cards, and because it was darker probably than the rest of the series.
Yeah, it was more violent and dark. Yeah.
So the first, which you can get in the manga, like if you read the manga here that Viz Media puts out.
I do want to get my hands on it actually.
Yeah, it's a fun time. That explains a little bit more about what's going on because Yami, the spirit that takes over Yugi, he's a pharaoh and he's basically has mastery over shadow games and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And
he does all manner of games.
He goes around solving problems by creating games to play with people.
Yeah. He plays like laser tag and air hockey and all manner of different but souped up to like 11.
Jigsaw.
Yeah.
But not torturous.
Yeah.
He's just cool.
Yeah.
And he can solve things with games.
Yeah.
And so he makes people play
games.
It's
a little bit like apparently because I still have, like I say, I haven't seen it, but it's apparently like how No Game No Life is, where No Game No Life the main characters blank play games. They win territories by playing games in general.
And like the closest thing we get to that in the anime that we have that 4Kids put out was when occasionally they would play other somewhat similar games like Dungeon Dice Monsters, or Bakura had them playing like a board game once, and I think Mokuba did the Capsule Monster thing. Yeah.
There's an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Taya plays Dance Dance Revolution, and there's a few things like that. Yeah, oh, it's when she and the Pharaoh go on a date. Yes, he takes her out and they go to a club or whatever, and this guy's like hitting on her or whatever, and like he challenges her to like a duel of like this dance game, and that's when you see that she's a decent dancer. But she beats him at DDR basically, or whatever the equivalent of it is in this show. Yeah. Duel Monsters, I don't know.
Duel Monsters.
Yeah, Dungeon Dice Monsters, that's another game they put in there. They had like a capsule thing, I think, briefly, some sort of capsule monsters.
Capsule Monsters with Mokuba.
Yeah, so goofy things like that. Just little not Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, but were themed after Yu-Gi-Oh!
And again, so like what I feel like happened, because I feel like this is what would have happened eventually, is that the author just got tired of having to create a new game every chapter, and he needed some way to have a lot of characters come together and have a tournament and have Yami and Yugi deal with another Millennium item, because again, prior in what we got in Yu-Gi-Oh! The first Millennium item we learn about is the Eye, which Pegasus has, although in the manga they come up much sooner than that. Anyways, right, I feel like eventually he got to a point where he just needed a plot device for all these characters to come together, and he just created a trading card game that they would play. Yeah. Based off of...
Which is how most, like...
Egyptian mythology and things of that nature. And that's what eventually bred the trading card game that we have called Yu-Gi-Oh! Which... It's not the same as what they play in the show. So
yeah, a lot of animes have a focus on one or like 2 games maybe of things they focus on. Like, this is an anime about sports, whatever sport it is, like football, basketball, volleyball, whatever. This is an anime about poker. You know what I mean? Like, this is an anime about Go and stuff like that. And so, like, you like, yes, I think that's right what you said. Like, I think the manga artist at some point was just like, I need to make this manga about a game instead of every single game that was ever invented. Right. So he created a game that they could all play together. So yeah.
Right on. And so then we go through all of that with the series of Yu-Gi-Oh that we got. They play this card game. They seal away all the Millennium items, and Yami leaves. We're here in this world, which is in the world of or the movie The Dark Side of Dimensions. It's how long is it after? Is it a couple years? A year?
I want to say it's a year or 2 years at the most.
Right.
Because the main characters were in high school during the show, and in on the Dark Side of Dimensions, they're finishing high school. They're getting out of high school. So it's not. It's been less than a year or two since the end of the show. I want to say it's probably closer to around 6 months, if anything. It feels like it's been about 6 months since Yugi gave up the Pharaoh, basically, because that's a big deal with him. Because he talks about how he still misses the Pharaoh, and he like kind of wishes he had closure with him. Which I thought was interesting.
He didn't get to say bye, so like we're all still in high school. Yugi's mopey because he lost his life partner. And everyone's just, I don't know, kind of returned to their status quo more or less outside of Yugi.
Yeah, they're all discussing what they want to do after high school.
Joey still wants to be a professional duelist now.
Yep.
Bakura's back to being a nice guy.
Again. Like, they brought that up, and you see how invested he is in playing Duel Monsters still.
Yeah.
And yet we never got to see him play Duel Monsters.
Nah,
like, Yugi doesn't even wear a duel disc until Kaiba throws him that one at the end.
That's right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't even have, like...
I mentioned while we were watching it, you were thinking that maybe it would be the smoking gun, and I was like, nah, I bet you... He's never going to duel. He'll probably just hand his duel disc to Yugi. Which we don't even get that.
Which would also have been that. It would have fit in the third act thing, but we didn't even get that. Like, yeah, the only plot device was Joey's missing. Here's his duel disc to show that he's missing. It's like, what the heck?
That is it.
Yeah.
That's how we know. And so, right. We're here. Enter bad guy. Bad guy is... Oh, also, Kaiba has not returned to status quo because he's still crazy. He still thinks he's better than Yami, and he's trying to prove that by finding the puzzle again so that he can have Yugi complete the puzzle. Actually, he was just going to have a computer complete the puzzle.
He was going to have a complete computer
so he could see Yami again, confess his love, and duel him.
Confess his love and duel him. Basically, yeah.
That's where we're at.
That's the thing, because and I mentioned this before the podcast, but like... The problem I had with that, which it's probably different in the manga. I'm almost willing to bet it is different in the manga. But in the show, Kaiba, we're led to believe by the end of the show that Kaiba doesn't believe that the Pharaoh was real. That it was just Yugi kind of trying to trick him, basically, kind of like how Bakugo is in My Hero Academia with Deku. He thinks that Deku was always powerful, but was hiding it this whole time. Right. And like he's like. Yugi's been pulling the wool over his eyes for 5 seasons.
For the first 2 episodes of My Hero Academia.
For the 2 episodes of check out the show, it's good.
It's good.
But yeah, and so like he doesn't like he's even at the final duel where the Pharaoh passes on and is whatever, and Kaiba's just like, oh, this is all just a bunch of
hooey.
Yeah, right. What is this? This doesn't make any sense. But it's like
we're not standing in a pyramid,
right? It doesn't make any sense to me that like in this movie he's just like actively digging up the remains of this Millennium Puzzle to try and bring back this magical Pharaoh he doesn't believe in.
I'm sure the manga handled things differently.
Yeah.
Because in here, especially in the English dub, they were all just supposed to fit into this single character mode.
Yeah.
That just never changed. Kaiba was always this jerk.
Yeah,
and it's just
none of them really have like an arc so much.
Really not.
They're all just the same characters the whole of the show.
So anyway, we get here. Kaiba's doing his crazy man thing. All the other kids are just back to being kids.
He's also like got a lot of new technology.
Oh yeah,
like he's constantly making technology. He's really brilliant. Smart, but he's like Iron Man now. Like he basically has all manner of new stuff that we've seen. Like he's definitely been busy.
He's got an elevator.
He's got an elevator to a space station. Yeah, exactly. And that was the thing that blew my mind. Was I'm just like
imagine the bureaucracy,
right?
That had to happen. That he had to go through to get that. Imagine all the papers he had to sign. Just to get an elevator.
Just so he can get to elevator to space. So he could store the Millennium Puzzle. So he could challenge a pharaoh to a duel. Like, it just doesn't make sense that, like, his motivation for doing what he does is really, it's really like the Abridged series to me, where they talk about, like, screw the rules, I have money. Like, the only thing we're led to believe is because Kaiba has all the money in the world, apparently, he can just do all of these crazy things over this stupid feud of a card game.
Yeah.
Which, as far as we can tell from the rest of the cast, everyone else is over with. Like, Yugi doesn't even play Yu-Gi-Oh! That much until the final act.
They've all dropped it.
Everybody but Joey. Joey's the only one that wants to continue playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Everybody else is like, I'm gonna get a job, Katea's gonna become a dancer.
Be a dancer.
Like, Tristan's gonna work on a factory, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's gonna move on. And even Yugi's like, I plan to make my own game, and we can play that in the future. Which I thought was really neat. I thought that was cool, because it's like, cool. Move on from Duel Monsters. You literally won. Like, you literally beat everybody at Duel Monsters. Play another game. Like...
That's right.
He doesn't have to defend his title or anything. Come on. And so, but Kaiba's like, I gotta beat him at this card game that nobody cares about anymore.
Gotta prove I'm the best.
Right?
It's like, I don't...
Okay. I just thought he was gonna be moving on to, like, I don't know. Other things, anything, yeah.
Checkers.
Maybe he wanted to beat Yugi at
chess, laser
tag again.
Yeah.
Like, come on. It's just, I don't know.
Well, it wouldn't be again because he didn't win the first time.
And
he wasn't playing.
Oh, I thought he was playing with security guards.
No, he hired a bunch of mercenaries. He hired a bunch of mercs. It was like, I'll wait for you at the top of this tower.
I see. And so they didn't face him until Yugi dueled him.
Until he got to
the
the top of the tower. That's when he played. I think that was our first real taste of Duel Monsters.
Duel Monsters in the manga. Yeah.
Any hoozles.
But yeah.
So we're here, and enter bad guy. Bad guy is some mystical person from another plane or dimension or planet,
some other dimension
or something,
yeah,
who now has power because the pharaoh has gone. That's one of the main key things they said. Now that the pharaoh has left, they have the ability to do whatever it is they're trying to do.
Which, I don't know if he has this little cube with him that he calls his, what is it, the plana or something like that?
Well, they are the plana.
They are the plana, but he uses the cube.
That's what provides his power.
It provides his power. I don't know. But I don't know if they said this in the movie. Maybe I just misheard it or something. But when I was looking into this, people were referring to it as apparently this is the official 8th Millennium item, basically. Oh. That was unlocked when the 7 Millennium items were sealed back up again, basically. Fun. And so, so... I don't know. I don't know if they stated that in the movie.
Thank you, Internet.
But apparently it is. Apparently it is the 8th Millennium item.
One of the problems with this movie is that very little things are explained. More questions are brought up than anything else. If you didn't read the manga, you wouldn't know that Shadi, who is he's basically the master of this bad guy. Yeah. The original guy that taught him things and gave him the power of the Plana. Yeah. He's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. He's been dead this whole time, and we've seen him in the original series, and apparently in the manga it's explained that Shadi is a ghost, which that was never stated in the show.
Right.
So that was super confusing to me. I thought he was just this like magical, ethereal kind of thing. Right. Because he doesn't seem ghostly, he just does magical things.
True.
So I'm just like,
which you just were like, because I mean, like he's more or less introduced as like the guardian of the
Millennium items.
Yeah. So you just assume he's magical and stuff.
Yeah, he's got stuff, and at that point he has the Millennium Key and the Millennium Scale, and we've already seen at that point in the show, by the time he's revealed that basically 1 Millennium item is enough to give you like all manner of magical powers. And so I just assumed that he was just much more magical than everybody else. And then at the end of Duelist Kingdom arc, he takes back the Millennium Eye from Pegasus. So I mean, he had 3 Millennium items. So I was like, well, he's just going to be just decked out. This guy's going to be a really magical dude. And so I just... I don't know. But apparently he was a ghost this whole time. Everyone's getting beat by a ghost.
Yarp. Any hoozles.
But yeah.
So this bad guy shows up and he's got he's got a grudge against, he keeps referring to this person that he has a grudge against. He's like, he's here, I'm going to kill this man, I'm going to take care of him. But he never uses a name, he just uses a male pronoun. Yeah. So I was like, okay, obviously they're trying to make me think this is Yugi, so it must not be Yugi. Who is it? It's probably Bakura.
And see, I didn't piece that
together. It has
to
be Bakura, because he's the only other one of them
who's had a dark past.
Yes, who would have done anything interesting at all. Yeah. And Toads McGoats was.
Yeah, Turns out, was Bakura. His rivalry was with Bakura. Or
Shadi had Agami and his other little buddies around, and he was teaching them stuff in the like tomb of all of the Millennium items.
Tomb of the Pharaoh, yeah.
Righto. And Bakura's dad, who was an explorer, archaeologist like everyone else's dad in the show,
Right.
pops in
Like
there and
everyone
he's
else's
like,
dad.
"Look, the ring! I'll pay you all this money to have this ring." And Shadi's like, "Bro, you can just you just pick it up.
Yeah.
You do whatever
if
you
the
want.
ring likes
If
you,
the ring wants
keep
you,
yeah.
it'll keep you, or you'll die." And he's
Yeah.
like, "All right, that sounds fine." And so he just picks up the ring, puts it on,
And it kills
immediately freaks out and dies.
Yep.
And Bakura, who'd been following him, runs in. He's like, "No, Dad, why?" And then he grabs the ring. I don't even know if he grabs the ring. The ring somehow makes it to his body.
He grabs the ring. He does grab the ring because his dad tells him to bring it to him.
Right, yeah.
And so he goes to grab the ring to give it to his dad, and when he grabs him, the ring basically chooses him and latches onto him.
The ring eats him, and he becomes Yami Bakura.
Yeah.
But in mini form, which was the coolest thing in this movie.
Yeah, he's this little teeny
Yeah.
Yami Bakura.
teeny evil Bakura, and he just kills Shadi like ASAP. Like first thing on to-do list.
Yeah.
Kill Shadi.
Yeah.
And
He just murks
does
him.
that.
He just murks him. And this is ridiculous because this is like right before Shadi is like teaching the kids like not to like hate or do anything like that and stuff. So he gets killed.
Yeah, he sees them not to have fear.
Not to have fear.
And not to let fear guide them.
And
and
that
things
fear
of that
leads to hate. Yeah. And all those kind of things.
And so Agami witnesses this, and that's the beginning of his grudge.
That's the motivation for
against Bakura.
his
But he
evil.
can't do anything until all the Millennium items have left.
Yeah, once they've left, then he gets the
Pharaoh
cube,
leaves.
which Shadi gives him as like his final moments or whatever.
Right.
Like he gives him the cube, whatever. I say final moments, but then like later on we get another flashback that Shadi came back to save them from this man that was like had become their guardian.
I
these
thought
kids'
that
guardians.
was the first time he met them. I'm pretty sure that's what we
Really?
were supposed to get.
Was that
from
it was?
It was out of order, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was supposed to be. Like, that was the
Okay.
moment where he saved them, where Shadi saved them, quote unquote, and put the guy away or whatever.
Okay.
And that's when he lit up their heads with all the little things.
Okay. You're right. Okay, that does make sense. Okay,
That's how I pieced it in my brain. 'cause that's the only thing that makes
it did make sense to me, yeah, because I was like, why? What?
Yeah, I don't think it was presented very.
Does that mean
well.
he knows Shadi's a ghost now? Why wouldn't
I
he
don't
just try to use the Plana to find Shadi? Like, I don't know. Because apparently the Plana gives him access to, like, changing the world. Like, it's like, like universe rewriting type stuff. Like,
yeah, they were going to make a utopia
like, why wouldn't he just
type
make
deal.
Shadi come back?
But Homeboy's corrupted, so his utopia would never have been very great at all.
Yeah.
I was waiting for them to explain where these kids have been the whole time.
Yeah, it didn't actually come up. Well, part
Like,
of it,
I mean, like throughout the show, I assume that's you understand me.
yeah, where they've been, I guess.
Where
No,
they
because
were for 5 seasons of this thing.
Yeah, where they've been for 5 seasons. Yeah, well, I was going to say that they didn't get the access to the power until the Pharaoh, or until Yami and Yugi sealed up the power. Yeah. So they've only actually had the power of the Plana for like however long it's been, like 6 months or however long. But yeah, where have they been?
It seems like they were in whatever realm you see them in.
Yeah.
Hanging out. They were in whatever Plana's plane is. I think it's really cool that they sort of imply the interesting theory that people had of like ancient alien type things, like that Egypt was really advanced and everything.
It does seem to fit with the aesthetic,
or people from another plane.
Yeah, it does seem to fit with the aesthetic of some of the later shows.
Yeah,
of Zexel being like an alien comes down to Earth and gives Yuma, or is it Yuma? No, it's Yuma. Yeah, because it's Yugioh is in Arc 5.
Arc V or whatever.
Yeah, which I kept calling Arc V, which I think it's called Arc 5 now. I don't know.
Nah.
But it doesn't matter to me.
Arc 5.
All right. Anyway, but the alien comes down, and he has an item that's similar in design and aesthetic of a lot of the Millennium item things we've been seeing before. Right. And so I was thinking that maybe that's tied to it.
Sort of takes it. I don't know. It just because the first series had this Egyptian aesthetic. GX had
just kind of
some mystical thing at some point, but it's kind of built on the first
series. It's really more based on the monsters being real in real life, like being the monsters being kind of like the spirits of something from an alternate universe, which was kind of touched on in seasons 4 and 5 of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right. I think and 5Ds was they had a lot more technology and they did stuff on motorbikes.
Yeah, that one it was really just the natural extreme of Yu-Gi-Oh in that like of dual monsters, I guess, in that the future everything is just settled with duels.
Yeah, everything is just dual monsters.
And the people that win are the people with money that can get access to the good cards, and the people in the slums have to use like scrap monsters and stuff to fight one
Right.
another and things.
Yeah. And then, like we said, Yuma was based on aliens. I've seen nothing of Arc 5 or V or however, and I've seen nothing of Brains.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like it was taking more of a... particularly Zexal was taking more of a galactic look at things, and that all of this power, all of these things in these cars and everything must be connected somehow to some greater force outside of not only Earth, but our plane.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it did feel like that with this situation, and it made me think about like how would it be cool? How cool would it be if they did like a Bonds Beyond Time type thing, but with Zexal and some of the other shows? Maybe have the other main characters show up together for some sort of battle royale or some sort of team duel or something. I don't know, some other thing.
Yeah,
maybe some tournament.
And so like the basic plot of this movie is that the bad guy is trying to seek revenge on Bakura, and I guess reform the world.
Yeah.
And so basically using his power to eliminate bad guys or who he perceives to be bad guys.
Yes.
And Bakura being one of those people, and recreate a world where there's no fear. Oh gosh, that was rough. Recreate a world where there's no fear or no pain and no bad people and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
His first real altercation in this movie is with Kaiba, because Kaiba is trying to... He's getting the Millennium Items, mainly the puzzle. He's trying to get the puzzle out of where it was left, so that he can bring back Yami, right? And then Agami has it drilled into his head that if the Pharaoh comes back, he won't have power.
Yeah.
And so for the whole time in this movie, the MacGuffin is the puzzle, because everyone's like, we can't let the puzzle get... Or Yugi doesn't care.
Yeah.
Kaiba really wants the puzzle back, and Agami's like, you can't do the puzzle, because if you do the puzzle, I won't have power, and won't be able to make my pretty
it'll
world.
reactivate. Yeah, if he brings back the puzzle, it'll reactivate the Pharaoh, and when the Pharaoh comes back, it'll make he'll lose his power, basically. Right. Yeah.
But there's a good bit of closure in that Yugi, at when it comes down to it, it's like, here, I'll complete the puzzle for you, and you can see there's no Yami here.
Yeah.
Because Yami is not bound to this.
I thought was a really neat thing, because that is something that is mentioned in the show, and I'm sure in the manga as well, is that like the idea was that once the Millennium Items were sealed up for good, and Yugi had faced off against the Pharaoh and defeated him in a duel, and the Pharaoh got to basically separate from him, that the Pharaoh was actually able to pass on. Like, he was going to be gone for good. And so I thought the idea was that when he brought back the puzzle, the Pharaoh wasn't going to come back. And he didn't.
Correct.
He didn't come back. He's dead. He's gone. He's on another plane, basically.
Yep.
And so... Yeah, and I thought that was very neat. And also, like, it was a little touching to me, because I was like... Because it was one of those things, it's like Yugi was talking earlier in the movie about closure and stuff like that, but even when he solved the puzzle, he's like, look, guys, like... the Pharaoh's gone. Like, he's like, as much as, like, that's just a thing that happens. That just sucks, because people die and it's sad. You know what I mean? Like, and I was just like, man, goodness gracious, Yugi, like, you got it. And
Yugi's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. He just... And so before that moment, though, Kaiba does this... So through random stratagem and things, the bad guy gets one of the pieces of the puzzle, and Yugi ends up with one of the pieces of the puzzle.
So that's something that also... So I want to cut to that real quick.
Please
just
do.
For a second. Because... So before we get any knowledge of exactly who Diva is or what his plot is or whatever, he notices... So Diva / Agami is stalking, we know, Bakura now. But in the movie it's kind of unclear. He's stalking the kids, basically. But he's stalking Bakura more specifically. And one of his goons or his allies tells him that Kaiba has the puzzle, and because Kaiba's men are like, digging it up out of this tomb, basically, and so he like kind of teleports to where Kaiba is in Egypt, and Kaiba is like, he's like locked up the puzzle in this like little safe thing, basically, as just pieces, basically, because he hasn't put it together yet, and Agami steps out of the crowd and basically challenges Kaiba to a duel. And not only does Kaiba know who Agami is, he knows his name is Diva and not Agami, that he's lying. He knows he's been after him for some reason. or he knows it about him for some reason. And not only that, but then Diva is just like, well, I'm going to end you. And he like uses his cube to stop him. And Kaiba just opens up his new fancy dual disc and it lights up. And the light basically stops his cube from working for some weird reason.
Like, what's up, B?
He's like,
I'm rich.
I'm going to go out on my terms. And I was just like, wait, how did that work?
That's right,
like I was over here just like so bewildered. I was like, there's no explanation whatsoever. It's never brought up again. But for whatever reason, Kaiba just outsmarted the magic of the show.
Yep, that's right.
Isn't there another instance where something like that happens in the show?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Like, I don't know about the show, but in this movie,
or in the movie, I mean,
at the end, Kaiba builds a machine that can travel through dimensions.
Yeah.
And he just travels through dimensions to find Yami in his realm.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, Yami, what's good?
Yeah.
Let's duel.
Yeah.
And Yami's like, all right, I'll beat you again, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we don't see any of that duel, which is the one duel I probably would have loved.
That would have actually been a neat duel. But they would probably just been like, oh, here's my green dark magician and here's my ultimate blue eyes that has a ring on its back. That was
I think it was good that they cut it. That was fine.
That was another problem I had with...
Now we can all just imagine, and as
that's
we
another
all
problem
know,
I had with the duels.
Yami would win.
That's another problem I had with the duels, is that like I'm okay with the characters using
also,
new cards.
Bear in mind, listeners, we are aware that there's some type of manga prequel to this movie.
Yeah, there's some sort of one shot comic that
don't add us.
Don't add us. that's supposed to fill in the blanks basically that we didn't read.
We refuse to read it.
Yeah, we just didn't get a hold of it. Anyway,
it should be a good movie on its own, and it's not.
It should be, but it's not. Exactly. That's a good point. The movie should have been able to handle
Hold
that.
Its own.
It should have been able to explain it on its own. But yeah, no. So my thing was another problems I had with the duel, just very briefly, is that like all of the cards. I'm okay with them using new cards because it makes sense. They have a new villain has new strategy, stuff like that. But all the old characters using cards. But the problem was like they were so busy trying to nostalgia mine that instead of just using the old cards that the characters originally used, they just used newer versions of them. Mm-hmm. So like there was like a new Celtic Guardian, a new Soldier of Stone, a new Dark Magician. Which that one wasn't even like the Dark Magician wasn't even a new card. It was just
different
the
art,
Dark Magician, but it was a
really
different
weird
art. Like it was a different drawing.
That of all things should have been the same. Yeah.
Yeah, but Kaiba had a Blue Eyes Ultimate Neo Dragon and a Blue Eyes Max Dragon and a Blue Eyes, all these different versions of Blue Eyes and all manner of things.
Blue Eyes Vegan Dragon.
Right.
Blue Eyes Paleo Dragon.
Right. I was imagining that, like, if Joey had a duel, he would have had like a 10,000 dragon instead of 1,000 dragon, or he would have had like a flame samurai.
I don't mind that.
Swordsman.
I don't mind that as much as you, just because like I think that's a fair reflection on how Yu-Gi-Oh changes.
Yeah, very
rapidly, and so they probably would have wanted to play something that they're familiar with, but the souped up version of it, the newer version.
Yeah,
so
I guess that's true.
The shiny,
more modern version of it.
Yeah.
We were joking early when we were watching the movie itself, where we were talking about how the duels in this movie are a little bit like they reflect how Yu-Gi-Oh as a card game has changed over time. In that this looks more like how Yu-Gi-Oh is actually played.
Oh yeah.
In that all the cards are really powerful, very effective, and the duels were super fast in this show.
Two-turn duels.
We had like five, like you said, we had like 5 or 6 duels, and every duel was like maybe a couple turns and only a few minutes long. Basically, they were just very flashy and effective, but the duel wasn't like, it was really just them kind of showing cards at one another. They weren't actually like playing the game much.
Yeah. Definitely accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So through stratagem. So yeah. Oh yeah. That first duel that happens between Kaiba and Diva. In the thing. That's crazy.
Kaiba was gonna win. He was gonna. That's one thing that bothered me too. Was it like not only could Kaiba stop this guy from using his magic, but then he almost beat him in the duel too. In this dimension duel, he's never done before.
Correct.
Because this is the first introduction to the dimension duel, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Which is the new,
that was a new duel, and that was not explained very well, and it was really bad.
It was really bad.
And the cubic monsters were ridiculous, and they were just all in one things. They were
they did everything monsters, he needed them to do.
They were fusion monsters. They were rituals, I guess. They were trap cards.
Yeah.
They were magic cards. They were all these things in one, and they could attack forever in every phase of this game. And I was just like, well...
Yeah.
It was real weird. But Kaiba held his own. He got out of there. Anyway, Diva ends up with 2 of the puzzle pieces at that point. He gives one to his sister, who is not about just not about what he's doing. Half of the kids that are in the Plana, half of the beings that are from Diva's plane of existence are not okay with what Diva's doing, but they don't have the Millennium Item that he does. They don't have the ability that he does to do stuff, and so they can't really stop him.
They're trying to just convince him, basically. They do seem to have control over like that dimensional travel, though. They do all tend to teleport and they can zap around and stuff like that, which I think is something probably that had to do with what Shoddy bestowed upon them when he touched their foreheads. Right. I think that's more about that as opposed to the Millennium Items magic.
That the box, the cube was probably the thing definitely the thing killing people. And so anyways, she doesn't like what Diva's doing, and so she gives her puzzle piece to Yugi, which inevitably leads to Kaiba having a quote-unquote tournament where Yugi plays Diva. Well, originally Yugi was going to play Kaiba and Diva was going to play Kaiba, and Kaiba was just going to play both of them one-on-one individually. But Yugi was like, "Nah, B, I'm gonna fight Diva first," because Diva took Joey and tried to kill him.
Yeah,
and
he
also
kidnapped
tried
Joey.
to kill
But they were able to get him back out with Joey's... Because it was really like...
With friendship power.
Yeah, with friendship power, they brought him back. Which, okay, I'm a sucker for. I actually did think that was kind of neat. Yep. I thought that was cool.
It was great.
I was kind of hoping... Again, I mean, I was sad that we didn't get to see more Joey do, dueling.
Anything.
But it was cool to see Joey...
He did wear a dog costume, though.
Yeah, which was funny. He was good. He was good for the comic relief, I guess. Sort of.
That one thing.
They drew Duke Devlin like a girl. That bothered me, too.
I think they drew him just fine. I don't understand how you didn't know that was Duke.
His hair was so much longer and more like feminine. And
I think his hair was the exact same length.
He was more Bishi. Like they made him look prettier.
Yeah, that's what they did after he fought Yugi. You can see it in that episode, like after Dungeon Dice Monsters, because all during Dungeon Dice Monsters, during the battle, he looks crazy. Like he looks like a crazy villain. And then afterwards, when Yugi wins, Duke's just like, oh man, I guess I'll just be friends with you guys. Ha ha ha. So it's very similar to the change between Yami Bakura and regular Bakura, except that Duke doesn't have a dark side that he can blame it on. He was just an idiot.
I'll have to go back and rewatch that because I don't remember.
Watch those episodes. It'll be a great
episodes.
Moment of child destruction for you.
I don't remember.
David's just all about this Team Duke.
And I like Duke Devlin. He was fine. I thought he was okay. Well, my thing is, I envisioned Duke Devlin more towards the end of the Battle City arc when he's helping Serenity and Joey, and he also shows up a little bit.
Yeah, he drives a car around.
He shows up a little bit in Waking the Dragons, I think, and those kinds of things. Yeah. But
he's neat. But he's always just a side character.
He's a side character of the side characters. Yeah. But it was fine that he didn't get involved in this movie. I didn't expect to see him at all. It's just like he didn't look like Duke anymore. It was just confusing to me. I was like, I don't know. Yeah. But
anywhoozles.
He also may have been heavily censored apparently because in this movie he was wearing like this giant cross on his chest and all manner of things, and so he may have been more decked out, and they just kind of like made him more muted in the show.
Yeah,
I don't know.
True. So anyway, Yugi duels Diva for his pride and to teach him that bad guys never prosper.
I guess, yeah.
Yep, he does that.
Oh, yeah, he used to get back for Joey, yeah.
And he gets his piece off of him.
Yep.
And then Kaiba's like, duel me for those pieces. And I don't remember if Yugi does it before or after. I think it's before they duel. He just shows him that there's no Yami.
He shows him in the middle of the duel. He stops the duel. He stops the duel just briefly because dueling. Like they're dueling, and then Kaiba's like upset for whatever reason. I don't remember what it is. And then Yugi's just like, "Look, I'm going to show you." And he brings the puzzle and he puts it together. And
it's like, "Look, no Yami.
Look, nothing happened.
Stop being an idiot.
No Yugioh."
And then at that moment,
no time to duel.
At that moment, Diva comes back after being defeated by Yugi and disappearing. He comes back, having been possessed by the ring.
Yeah, which we breeze over because what is it wasn't that when Diva captured Joey, he also captured Bakura.
Correct.
And Joey got back out, but Bakura did not, and that's why Yugi was dueling him. He was trying to get Bakura back. But when he had taken Bakura, he had also unwittingly got his hands on his comrade had gotten his hands on the ring.
Right.
And so he had to defeat his comrade or his buddy or whatever. Diva did. And when he did that later on, he ended up getting exposed to the ring itself. He ended up touching the ring, and it made him like Yami, Diva or whatever, and make him this like monster creature that came back to fight Yugi. Which
the ring combined essentially with the the cube-like thing,
Yeah.
right? And so he
So he
became
had,
a cube monster,
Yeah.
and Yami and Diva, all these things were together.
Yeah.
And he was this gnarly-looking, crazy person.
Yeah.
And then he dueled Kaiba and Yugi together, and then together they won.
Yeah.
Save the day.
And Kaiba sacrificed his life for Yugi.
That's
and
not
then
even true.
And then after they beat him,
That's right, yeah.
he came back.
That's right. Kaiba sacrificed his life. Kaiba lost all of his life points in the cubic duel? Dimensional duel.
Yeah, dimension duel.
Whatever. And so he lost his, soul and body and all that nonsense. He just disintegrated.
Yeah, he disintegrated.
And then Yugi was like, oh, what do I do? And then at some point, Yami came down in a beam of light from the sky.
Yeah, there was this moment where Yugi was really on the ropes and he was going to die.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the puzzle activates, or not puzzle.
Not the puzzle, no. Yeah, it wasn't the puzzle at all.
It wasn't the puzzle.
Yami, I think, again...
He just manifested somehow.
Right, yeah. This gives credit to the idea that Yami, as a pharaoh, was a god.
Yeah.
And that he is now currently reigning as a god in another dimension.
In some other plane,
and he can
yeah.
look down on Earth, and he sees this problem's happening, so he just pops down. He's like, yo, what's up, Yugs? I'm gonna save you.
Except he didn't say a word.
He didn't say anything. He says nothing.
He says zero
he
words.
Summons a monster with no fanfare. Monster pops up. You see it for a half a second.
We see no stats or anything.
Destroys everything.
He just kills the monster.
Puts everything back in the way it was. Everything's bright and happy again. Yep. He grabs the puzzle from Yugi, and he's like, yeah, okay. And then he just disintegrates
the puzzle and disappears.
He and the puzzle just disappear.
He and the puzzle just
I think
disappear.
He just took the puzzle with him. He was like, I like that. I'm going to keep that. And so
he takes it away.
I wonder if he's wearing it in the scene when Kaiba comes into his... I think he must be. Anyway, after that, there's a little bit more closure. We just go through a little bit of closure arc. Taya leaves and goes to pursue being a dancer and whatnot, and you see that everybody else is going back to what they're doing, and you see Kaiba being a crazy person again. And you're led to believe that a few months later, or a year later, or however long later, Kaiba's in this little machine.
Yes.
And Mokuba's like, okay, just don't die. Just come back, please.
Yeah.
And Kaiba's like, yeah, sure, we'll do. Love you, buddy. And he activates.
He leaves. But what he tells Mokuba is that Mokuba is in charge of Kaiba Corp until he's gone. Basically,
right.
He leaves it all to him. Basically, which I've seen a few things people talking about how basically the idea that it's kind of posed and it's kind of left ambiguous because of the way this movie ends is that it looks like the Pharaoh's other plane is like heaven or the other side, basically. And Kaiba had to go there, but he did that without dying. And so the thought is, can he come back from dead? Or can he come back to this life and stuff like that? And if he doesn't, that just means he's dead now, and Mokuba takes over Kaiba Corp, and Kaiba gets to die so he can fight the Pharaoh and get pride.
Killer.
Or lose and be dead.
Be an idiot. Feel real dumb. So yeah, he walks in. So he just walks into whatever temple.
Yeah, they're in some sort of pyramid
Yami
in the desert.
Is sitting in. And he's like, let's do this. He activates his dual disc, and Yami does a half smile, and then credits roll.
Yep. Whole movie right there.
That's it. It's all building to that point.
Now just imagine everything we've said, but add twice as much talking.
Oh my gosh.
And that's the movie.
There's so much of you and me sitting around being like, oh my gosh, when are we going to duel?
Right.
Ugh.
Right.
Boo.
When is the thing going to happen? And I think that's one of the other reasons why we were so disappointed with the duels themselves. Is that the movie was already we were the duels are being hyped up as being this big thing and these big points of action for the movie, and then when we get to them, we're just like, well, this was brief and unappealing.
Yeah. And there's just so much time between that was just useless, and it's just I just feel like.
There's a lot of things they could have done with this, and
there were plenty of things that could have been better, and I feel like if we had focused more on Yugi's team of friends and having them duel again, would have been better.
If anything, was more of the overarching theme of the show anyway. I don't know how it is in the manga. It may have been more about the game. It's all about the game in the manga. But in the show, at least the way it was portrayed, the show was about the friendship. And honestly, I was hoping for there to be the moment where they do in the show where they put their hands together and you see
draw a happy face.
No, because what happened was they drew the marker.
Yeah, they drew a happy face.
Yeah, I know, but it was drawn a long time ago. But then every time they do that thing where they put their hands together, it like the marker comes back. Like they don't ever like redraw it. It just comes back because of their friendship or whatever. And I was hoping for them to do a scene like that. I know a lot of people would have hated that. I would have ate that crap up. I would have been all over that life.
You like dumb things.
Yeah.
Nah, I wish we could have seen more of these other characters that they just sort of like waved in front of our faces. Or like, hey, you like these guys, right? Yeah. Here, watch Kaiba duel 3 times. I don't want to watch Kaiba duel 3 times. I want to watch Joey duel.
Yeah. It was a Kaiba movie. That's what I'm saying.
I wanna watch Bakura do something because he's the only other like Millennium item person mentioned in this whole thing, and he doesn't get to duel. I don't get to see the one cool thing about Bakura.
Yeah. Exactly.
Where was that?
We were going to see Bakura do anything sneaky or weird or anything like that.
Which by all means he shouldn't be doing because he doesn't have Yami.
And that's another thing that was bothering me was that I was led to believe, at least from the show, and maybe the manga is better or maybe it explains it better, but I was led to believe that like the Pharaoh, when the Millennium Islands were sealed up, whatever evil spirit was in the ring would have also passed on as well. But apparently the ring was still just as powerful and the puzzle was inert. And I'm like, wait, why? I don't understand.
Don't know.
This evil thing.
Well, it could very well be that I don't know. I don't remember this. Someone tell us about it. I guess maybe. Yeah. I think maybe
we got to read the manga. We got to go back.
I think maybe Yami's spirit was sealed into the ring as a punishment.
Maybe, as opposed to the Pharaohs, which was
always going to be,
which was celebrated was more of a celebration type thing than as he did bad things. And stuff.
And more of just a way to ensure his spirit,
immortality or whatever.
Yada. So like when everything was done, his spirit moved on, but Yami Bakura is still stuck in the ring
because he's still trapped there or something. Maybe that's probably it too. I have no idea. Goodness gracious!
But it was rather convenient, right?
Yeah. It was rather convenient. No sign of Merrick or the Ishtar family, his sister. Neither of them showed up with their Millennium items.
Which you would think.
Because honestly, this is my thing. If you were Kaiba and you were in the position to get any of the Millennium items, I understand him wanting to get the puzzle for the feud. But why not get the rod?
Why not get everything else?
Why not get anything? Like the ring lets him see the future. You know what I mean? Like. Or not the ring, the necklace lets him see the future. I always call it the ring because she wears it around her neck.
Right.
And
necklace. The ring is also worn around your neck with a bit of rope. The rod lets you control people's minds.
Yeah.
The eye lets you see through stuff, I guess.
It lets you read people's minds.
Okay.
And it also lets you every Millennium Mind lets you start a shadow game. And I think Pegasus did some other things with it. I don't know.
Key opens your mind.
Yeah. Which stuff's probably not as clear or useful.
Things, tells you how much stuff weighs.
I think, again, those items are probably things that are explained more in the manga as well.
Oh, almost.
Because those are the ones Shoddy has.
I'm pretty sure Shoddy uses the level quite a bit. But...
Yeah. I wonder if there is, like, an uncut, unedited, like, just the Japanese Yugioh that you could get your hands on.
Anime?
Yeah, the anime.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, maybe there is. But it seems to me like 4Kids
imported
is
or something.
Like absolutely committed to not letting it even seem as though Yu-Gi-Oh! In any of its versions is based off of a show that is not for kids.
Yeah.
Because, like I told you, I really liked watching Zexal subbed. It was good. The music was good. The plot was pretty good outside of the filler episodes. And it was dark. It was interesting. And then we go to the 4Kids dub of that show and everything's crap. The music's bad. Yuma's voice is the worst thing ever committed to any audiovisual medium. And they what's the word I'm looking for? They censor Astral's junk, which he doesn't even have.
Bro.
It is the weirdest thing. It's just... it's so dumb. And, yeah, my point with that is, like, you can only get the sub of Zexal up through episode, like, 21. After that, the sub does not exist here. on any of the platforms that it's being presented, like
Yeah.
Hulu or Crunchyroll or
Yeah.
things like that.
That's true.
Or
But like
Funimation or whoever.
for kids, like they also had that brief like run of One Piece before Funimation went back
great.
and redid it.
Best anime dub ever.
Yeah. Well, I grew up with the 4Kids One Piece dub, and I didn't mind the dub, but it wasn't until I went back and saw it as an adult, comparing it to the current dub, that I was like, yeah, no, this was a lot. They did a lot, because 4Kids had this image in their mind back in the early 2000s that anime is a cartoon and cartoons are for kids. And then when they
kids.
when they licensed a bunch of anime early on, and they brought it over here to America, then they watched it. They realized, oh, this is bad, or it's not appropriate for children, basically. And so that's why they had to heavily censor these things. And
well, this is for kids. I mean, our name is for kids,
right? Exactly. We've got to do something to make this more
really
for
worked
kids.
ourselves into a corner here.
Yeah, right.
Just take out all of the anythings.
Yeah.
And put in whatever we want.
But just like a little bit on the reverse side of that, I don't know how I feel about Toonami being on Adult Swim with Cartoon Network, because I feel like it kind of paints anime into a corner, in that like now anime is only for adults. And I'm just like, well, there are kid anime. There are like and there are anime that, if it's not a kid anime, there are anime that is suitable for children.
I mean,
and so I'm just
the whole thing about it is just that here in the West, our perception of cartoons is incredibly different.
Yeah, it really is
in Japan. Or
it really very much
just about
is.
Anywhere else. It's just like it's either children's stuff exclusively, or it's Family Guy and The Simpsons and South Park.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one or the other, I think, in people's minds here out west, or both of those things. There's just no middle ground, is what it is. And that's not the case at all in anime.
Yeah.
So anyone who has to censor stuff or decide whether not to censor stuff just has or decide where and what times to play these shows on television. It's just got a hard job.
Yep.
No,
it's very weird.
Yeah.
But I honestly I did like the original series, and I did like how it wrapped up. And also another thing I do like is that something that people were saying about this movie that I thought was interesting was that it is a decent. I say decent. It's not the best, but it is a closure type.
Yes, the one thing it does fairly well is it gives closure to the characters.
Yeah, it does show that this is one of those things where it's like, I don't think there's going to be a sequel for this. If they do another Yu-Gi-Oh movie, it'll probably be some other, like maybe an alternate timeline type thing, like Bonds Beyond Time was, or it'll be some kind of thing with something for nostalgia factor. Maybe it'll be a flashback movie or something like that. Like, I don't imagine they're going to be another Yugi, Kaiba, Joey crew anime.
No, hopefully not.
Yeah. You mentioned that the stuff that goes on in this, or I mentioned basically that the technology that Kaiba comes out with dueling is so advanced in this movie that, like, you see the stuff that happens in 5Ds and you're like, oh, that makes sense that it would happen 20, 30, 40 years after the events of Yu-Gi-Oh! But like, you see this technology basically now in the present day Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, and then you were talking about how it makes GX obsolete. Yeah, and you're right. I'm right. You're right in that it does make it kind of feel out of place, I guess, or it kind of mess up with the continuity that they've tried to create with it. But I kind of let it slide only because I feel like Power Rangers, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretends to have a continuity.
Mm-hmm. I let it slide because the only bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! That matters is the first bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but yeah, it does that. It's because if you're not gonna watch it or haven't watched it or whatever, Kaiba's new dual disc and technology basically becomes this fully immersive, VR experience.
Yeah,
that you don't need VR goggles to see.
Yeah, you kind of connect the thing to your brain a little bit, and it can read your thoughts and help. And he talks about how through people's creativity and through their imagination, they can make holograms look more real and feel more real and things like those kinds of things. and which is just way more advanced in the technology in GX and 5Ds.
I could imagine it having some kind of crazy short circuit and like not like the Kaiba Corp maybe getting sued or some nonsense, being the downfall of their company and not going forward. Yeah, that could put everything back in the right timeline as far as technology.
Yeah, that's true. Because my thing is, that's another thing I think is interesting was that like, as boastful and ignorant, or not ignorant, arrogant Kaiba is, everything he builds works, and you know what I mean. Like he's like he has no flaws.
He's genius,
perfect at everything, and so I'm just like, what the heck.
Indeed.
I don't know, but he just can't beat this darn
kid
at a card game.
Just can't win that gosh darn Yugi mans.
Right. Mm-hmm. My thing is, who's putting out these new cards they're using? Is Maximilian Pegasus still making cards, or is Kaiba in charge of making new cards now?
Be. I mean,
did he buy out Pegasus?
I feel like Pegasus would have gotten back into the game once he recovered from losing his eyeball.
Yeah, you'd think. You'd think he would, especially being as as flamboyant and well, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, he's a showman. You know what I mean? Like he likes to be out in the limelight. You'd think he'd get back out there and continue selling his game and stuff.
Definitely, he probably would.
That's something I wish they had done with Yu-Gi-Oh a little bit more in the original show, and honestly maybe the later games, which they kind of do in GX and stuff, is like show the element of the characters like physically going to card shops, purchasing packs, opening packs, using the cards in the packs to put in their decks and stuff. Like I think they open a pack like once in Yu-Gi-Oh. Maybe early on when Joey's first learning how to play Yu-Gi-Oh, because he's kind of like the Watson character that's like doesn't know how to play.
I recall another time where they do it and they're all in like an elevator or something of that nature. Yeah, and they're cracking packs and.
Oh yeah, there's like a duel or something they get into where they have to they had to make a deck out of packs. It's almost like a sealed,
it's like
a sealed deck. I forget the context of it, but it's very brief. But it's one of those situations where they had it was like a one-time thing where they had to build decks with just a few packs or something. And I'm like, oh man, I remember that now. Yeah. But yeah, you don't get that much. And in GX, it's like early on in GX. I don't know how it is in later GX, but in early GX, it's like Jaden has to get new cards for his deck and stuff, and so they have to. He and the other students are competing every week or whatever to go to the game shop to purchase the new cards so that they can all have the best rare cards for their decks and stuff, and things like that. And then Jaden's deck does change throughout the course of the show, so it makes sense that when he gets new cards. Although it's interesting because you still see him using the same stuff by the end of the show, even though at the beginning of the show he's using elemental heroes. And then at the end of the show, he's using Neospatians. But you also see towards the end, he's also still running Elemental Heroes in his deck.
He's never taken anything out. He's just added stuff. He's got a 100 card deck by the end of the series.
Yeah.
He's just killing it.
And I'm just like, what the heck? But I mean, that's how I kind of felt about Yugi. I wondered, if you took all the cards Yugi plays in the show Yu-Gi-Oh, he's got to play a lot of cards. But I mean, maybe he changes them out between duels.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just got... Because I guess we see him play a lot of cards, but I mean, he plays a few of 40 in a duel.
Yeah.
Maybe max 20 in any one duel, so there's still half a deck hidden away, so they can still pull cards out of their butt. But I don't know.
I wonder if it's represented in the Konami's legendary decks set they've come out with in the real world. They've come out with Yu-Gi-Oh's legendary decks, whatever, where it's 3 decks he's had throughout the course of the show. So I don't know. He's always pulling out new surprises. That's kind of how I felt when Yugi dueled the Pharaoh, because we were led to believe, as in the final duel of the show, in that we were led to believe that the Pharaoh got to use the deck Yugi had been using the whole show, which had the Egyptian god cards and everything, and Yugi had to craft a new deck from scratch, and that's when he comes out with the gadgets and stuff like that. And then it's cool to see him using new gadgets and stuff, because you do see that seems to be his thing when he's on his own, because I think it's probably one of the first times we get to see Yugi not just play Yu-Gi-Oh or play Duel Monsters without Yami as support, but actually physically build a deck on his own, right? Because at the beginning of the show, he got his deck from his grandfather, right? He didn't originally craft his deck. Yeah, and so he had to. So this is the first time you get to see Yugi as a duelist make a deck, and he tended to make gadgets. And I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah. One thing
maybe that explains why his Dark Magician's different.
Maybe. Maybe.
Maybe he got
It's
a different
not his
copy.
granddad's Dark Magician.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Possibility. Maybe someone threw that one into the ocean and he had to
Right.
get a new one.
Yeah, and then Joey couldn't fish it out.
Yeah. One thing I would have liked to have seen in this movie that I think they could have done, and a movie that I still wouldn't mind seeing if they felt like doing it, is I would have loved to have seen Yami in his new realm have some kind of problem show up and him need to go to Yugi and get his friends to come. Because this whole thing, almost all of the series, has always been Yami coming in to save Yugi and his friends.
Very cool. That is a good idea.
And that's exactly what happened in this movie. Yami pops out of nowhere, says
to
nothing,
save everyone.
summons a monster that solves everyone's problems, takes the puzzle, and leaves. He's there for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And he just saves the day, and he's fine. And I think it would have been much cooler to have Yami be in this new place where something shows up and something happens, and he's like, "Oh, I need
great
my
new
friends.
threat.
I need my support group. I need something.
Yeah.
I need someone from this other realm.
Yeah.
He's the key to something here." And like to have them maintain some kind of relationship or
That'd be cool.
thing of that nature. That would have been cool.
They probably could do something like that.
I hope they do. I hope Kaiba gets trapped there because he's a moron, and they have to figure out some way to get him back, and that somehow entails them calling Yugi for help. I just think it would be cool to have Yami turn to the rest of them for help at some point.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think that would be really neat and a good opportunity.
Because the only real time they get to do that is with the final duel, and that the only way for Yami to have left was that he had to have Yugi duel him, and he had to win. Yeah, Yugi had to win. And the thing about it was that Yami couldn't go easy on him. Yami had to Yami had to pull out the Egyptian god cards, and Yugi had to beat them, which he totally did, and it was awesome. Which is cool because the Egyptian god cards, as cool as they were, are just not as powerful as you'd think, in compared to the stuff that's been coming out lately in Yu-Gi-Oh. Oh, speaking of Egyptian gods, freaking Kaiba pulls out Obelisk the Tormentor.
Oh yeah, there's that
in
other
Diva's
thing.
Duel, just out of nowhere.
Because the gods are gone.
Yeah.
And they're not supposed to be able to be accessed, but Kaiba has that too. Kaiba still has Obelisk, and he pulls Obelisk out while he's fighting Diva.
Yeah.
And that's how he's about
Starts
to
win the
beat
duel,
Diva. Yeah. Because Diva's like, "Oh, I'll just kill it." And he's like, "Nah, bro, Obelisk is a god.
Yeah.
Deal with it."
Yeah, exactly.
Which was really cool. I love anytime those god cards come out. It's like,
yeah. Oh, and it was really, really good because the animation quality for that was so fantastic.
Yeah,
like
that's something they did for this, is they did a lot of the monsters in 3D
yeah.
animation, and Obelisk got a real nice, fun, well done 3D animation treatment.
Also, when you bought the DVD and it came with that pack with Obelisk in it,
yeah, so the DVD comes with a card, and it was a different art of Obelisk, in gold rare, but without all the shiny streakiness of the gold. It was just like a matte gold.
Yeah, it was just
real nice.
Yeah. So apparently, when people went to buy tickets to the movie and go to see the movie at theaters, they got Obelisks. So I think it was only Obelisk that came with the DVDs. So like if I purchased a DVD, I would just get a gold Obelisk. Yeah. That was just something that they did.
It was funny to me because
makes it because
I own a gold rare Obelisk already.
Yeah, me
Probably
too.
two.
Yeah, I have at least one too. And then my thing is also that like it's interesting that Obelisk was the rare the card they put in with the DVD and the ticket to the movie, in that he's in the movie for 3 seconds. You know what I mean? Like,
you may as well put a Yami card.
Put a Yami card in there.
Just
right. It's just they could have put anything. I mean, they came up with a pack for all the cards.
That's true.
And I did look through. Okay, that's another thing. I did look at the live cards that they use in the show, because they made real life replicas of all the cards that they use in the show, in the movie, and most of them are just walls of text. They're just so complicated cards. They're just so. But it's like, and to me, it bothers me because when you read them, I'm like, this seems good, but it also seems very specific. Like, it seems like he would only work in the context of you were dueling Yugi and he was using these specific cards to fight you. You know what I mean? Like, like the duels are very scripted in that sense in the movie.
That is accurate.
But, yeah.
Yeah, well,
like having a card that's like, oh man, if I'm in my battle phase and I have a Dark Magician and my Dark Magician took this much amount of damage, like this thing can happen. And I'm just like, wow, that had a lot of prerequisites for this stupid effect.
yeah.
But yeah.
I think all at the end, it was a decent movie for closure for some of the characters.
Sure.
It was cool to have all the vocal cast back.
Yes.
But it just lacked a lot of things.
It's not great.
It's lackluster.
And I know a lot of people that are listening are probably like, well, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! It's going to be bad. And I'm like, yeah, but...
Yu-Gi-Oh! Had its good.
It did have its
worries,
good.
Guys.
And that's how I feel about... This is the kind of thing I have... I kind of see when I talk about current Power Rangers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And people are just like, well, it's Power Rangers, it's going to be bad. And they're just like, but Power Rangers done some really good stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense that they can't keep doing that good stuff. Like, they've had good writers that have done interesting stories, and now we're talking about teenagers that can't get froyo. I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't the hashtag, not my Power Rangers. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah. But...
if you can get it for cheap, you should check it out, I guess, maybe. I don't care.
If it's on YouTube, watch it on YouTube.
If it's on YouTube, yeah, it's probably on YouTube. Yeah. That's true.
If you can watch it for free, watch it for free. If you feel like it, don't spend money on it unless you want to get the gold obelisk.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
It's just, yeah. It's
but
probably
yeah,
right.
That's more or less how I feel about it.
What do you guys think?
Yeah. Let us know. We are at TNYKPod on Twitter and Facebook. You can email us at thosenerdsyouknowpod@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. That's us.
That is all of us. Anyway, this has been Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions.
Did you guys like it? Tell us we're wrong.
Let us know if you liked it, which you probably didn't. Let us know what you didn't like about it if we didn't mention that already.
Right, yeah.
Or you can just tell us how much you agree with us. Tell us what your favorite episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is.
Somebody said that they didn't like the movie because of the dub, and that bothered me.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Is this the same dub that you watched as a kid?
Like, the dub's fine.
Whatever. Anyways, let us know what you think about the movie and what you think about Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. My name's Ethan.
And I'm David.
And we are Those Nerds You Know.
Bye!